Hey everybody, I'm Bede, aka the Terrible Australian of Super Podcasts, and welcome to the ninth edition of my 2014 MIFF video reviews. For this one, I will be talking about the remake of the of the of the 1980s Ozploitation classic Turkey Shoot, and as well as Sion Sono's latest film, the actioner Why Don't You Play in Hell? So let's get right into it. Now, first up is Turkey Shoot. In a I got my MIFF guide here, so I can read you guys the synopsises. In a brutal dystopian future, convicted criminals are given a chance to win whatever their hearts desires by becoming a contestant in the world's most popular TV show, Turkey Shoot. All disgraced ex-Navy SEAL Rich Tyler, Dominic Purcell, contestant number 117, wants is to clear his name and claim his freedom. But Turkey Shoot isn't interested in finding winners. It just wants to hunt Tyler like an animal and make him squeal before he dies. Now, I've seen the original 1982 film of Turkey Shoot, which actually starred Steve Railsback and Olivia Hussey. And the film has sort of an infamous reputation as being one of the most violent Australian films ever made, and it actually got huge critical bashing when it came out. And but I've seen it, and I thought it was a really solid and entertaining Ozploitation film. Has a really good satire, even though it's sort of another variation of the Most Dangerous Game type of story. But I thought it was a pretty fun, ridiculous, over-the-top action film. Same can't be said about the remake. And it's kind of interesting that this is the second year in a row at MIFF I've seen a remake of an Ozploitation film. And last year it was the remake of Patrick, which you can check my video review of that back in the archive somewhere. But Turkey Shoot, I'm not going to lie, I thought Jimmy All Is By My Side would have been the worst film I was going to see at MIFF this year. It was, until I saw this film. This movie was absolutely abysmal. It is... I don't know when this film's going to be released, and to be honest, it's the type of film that should only be released in a bargain bin in a DVD bargain bin at a cheap shop. It's that bad, and it's one of the worst movies I've seen this year, if not maybe the worst film. This film, it sort of takes the concept of Turkey Shoot and does its own thing, which is fine because, that's what a remake should. It should try to be its own thing rather than having to rely too much on the original. But this film is just, is just terribly done in every way. The performances are terrible. It's very badly directed. The script is abysmal. It's very cheap, and I mean very, very cheap, very lazy, and the worst thing is, and the worst thing of all, it's absolutely boring. It's a boring, boring, boring film, and I knew this movie was going to go downhill within the first 5 seconds. It looked like it only cost $5 to make. When and they don't, there's a good movie in there somewhere. You can make this into a great, fun film, but the director was there, and he sort of talked about, is this movie meant to be serious, or is it meant to be sort of silly and over the top? And to be honest, it's neither. Well, I think it's a film that takes itself way too seriously to be fun. And it's not fun enough to be entertaining. And the cast try, but they all seem bored. And it's one of those Australian films in which a lot of the actors, especially the Australian actors, put on accents, American accents, and they're just awful. Dominic Purcell, he just looks so bored during this film. It looks like he can't even muster up any enthusiasm whatsoever. And he sort of delivers lines in a very boring and bland way. And his accent's very shaky as well. It goes back between either an American accent or an Australian accent, and also it's very cheap as well. Like a lot of the action sequence, there's like a car chase sequence in the film, but instead of doing an actual car chase, they sort of just do take the very lazy route and actually just use archival CCTV footage of car chases from the news and all that to replace it. And also, which is dumb. And also, like, the film was shot in Melbourne, and I had to laugh many times during the film, but it's supposed to be like in different places all over the world, like in America or China or Japan or somewhere, and you could obviously tell it was in Melbourne. Like, there's one section where it goes up an escalator, and it's an escalator I always go up at probably once or twice a week when I'm in the city. And also, he's on a train, and my audience has bursted out laughing because it's just the bloody trains in Melbourne, and it's just, and also the film wants to be a satire as well on reality TV and stuff like that, but it's so obvious and just dumb. That's what it is. It's boring and it's dumb. And I'm trying to think if there was any positives I can think of the film, but honestly, there's nothing good about this film at all. It's just terrible. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible film. And it doesn't surprise me at all that it only was shown once at MIFF, because I think if people sort of read about, if it had a second screening, I don't think anyone would have turned up for the second screening based on the reaction to the film. And I've read some reactions. Some people sort of enjoyed the B silliness of it all, but to be honest, this was just stupid. It's a crap film, and I'm sorry that I seem harsh, and I don't want to be mean, but it's just a really terrible film that had a lot of potential, but just doesn't do anything with it. It doesn't capitalize on its premise at all, and it's just cheap and lazy. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about Turkey Shoot. Just go watch the original. The original is way more fun. If I had to rate this film, I'd give it about probably half a star out of 5, or yeah, that's my lowest of the low when it comes to ratings. And yeah, this film is just an abomination. It wasn't fun. It's crap. But on the other end of the spectrum is my next film, which is Why Don't You Play in Hell? And what's this film about? I'll tell you. Things spin out of control when an aspiring film troupe known as the Fucking Bombers collide with an accuser boss who wants to make a movie with his daughter. Within this, the Yakuza genre gets smashed with martial arts, gore, slapstick, and whatever else you can nominate in a wonderful mess that boils down to one thing: huge fun. Now, like I said, this movie is the polar opposite of Turkey Shoot in every single way. Everything that Turkey Shoot does wrong, Why Don't You Play in Hell does it perfectly. Or almost perfectly, I should say. This is definitely one of the most original action films I've seen in quite a while. Has a great premise, and it's a movie that's toners all over the place. There's tons of action, a lot of humor, a lot of slapstick, satire, and but what's interesting is it's a film that's both a love letter to action films, but it's also a love letter to films as well, particularly sort of films shot on 35mm. And this is my third Sion Sono film. I was first introduced to him by my friend Sam with the 4-hour epic that is Love Exposure, and then I followed that up later with Guilty of Romance. But I think Why Don't You Play in Hell is probably my favourite of his so far. It's just a hugely fun film. Although I must admit, during the first hour or so, before I went into the film, I was really tired, and that was the night where I started to come down with my flu, so I was a bit tired and a bit, sleepy and all that during the first hour of the film. And it's not the fault of the film, that was just me. But it's during the second hour of the film, and the last half of this film, it has to be one of the great action scenes of the year. It's so violent and over the top that it's awesome. The cast do a fantastic job, and it's brilliantly well directed, and it's infectious, and it's like, and it's a movie that knows exactly what it is, and it goes full bore with it, and it's so much fun, and like it's not perfect as well, like as I expect a film like this would be, but I just had a really great time with it, and it's just an awesome little movie, and if you haven't seen Why Don't You Play in Hell, go check it out when it's wherever it hits cinemas or on DVD or Blu-ray. It's just a great little film, and Sion Sono is a great director, and this sort of continues to be, he continues to impress me more and more with each film, and if I had to rate this film, it'd definitely be a 4.5 out of 5. It was pretty freaking awesome and truly original as well. And I think a lot of fans, action fans, or even film fans, are definitely going to love this movie. I guarantee it, pretty much. And I've already said to my podcast guys, Super Marcy, that this is a film that's right up her alley. So there's so much I could say about Why Did You Play in Hell, other than, but it's just awesome. It's awesome. So check it out. Not perfect, but awesome. Overall, that's the end of this 9th edition of my 2014 MIFF video reviews. Keep a lookout very soon for my 10th edition, in which I'll be talking about the romantic zombie comedy Life After MIFF, and as well as the Aussie family film Paper Plane. So keep a lookout for that one, and I'll see you guys later. See you, everyone. Bye.